All right, so we did have Carlos Ulberg taking on Dominick Reyes. This did not last long, and it just did not look, as I was looking at it, as they were, just facing, off in the first round, and they were going slow. They were feeling each other. Ulberg was taking his time. Dominick was taking his time, but Dominick was not winning the foot placement battle. When you are a left-handed southpaw fighter, and you're facing that orthodox fighter that Ulberg is, and vice versa, for the two, it's who is going to win that battle of the foot to the outside is usually the one that's going to have the best chance of landing the power, because that foot to the outside gives you a straight left or a straight right down the pipe. And in the end, it's really what happened off of the simple jab. That's what allowed Ulberg to actually move off towards his right, come back with the right hand, and it absolutely put Reyes down. He was seriously hurt, and the follow-up shot, you saw him go out. It was a great stop by Mark Goddard. It was the right thing to do. I felt bad for Dominick, but I felt good for Ulberg. He's really worked himself up to this spot in the light heavyweights is just not. And I'm not putting Ulberg down in any ways. He's a great fighter, but it's not the light heavyweights used to be the division. When you had, the Randy Coutures and the Chuck Liddells and the Tito Ortizes and all those guys, that was the glamour division of the UFC. That's the one that, held things together and stuff. And now you look and it's just doesn't seem to have the star power and everything. But that was a beautiful win. And that's like 8 wins in a row, 9 wins in a row now for Ulberg. He's looking good. Yeah. And his loss was to Kennedy and Njoku. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Kennedy Njoku who lives in Texas and stuff, good fighter. Now he's fighting in the heavyweights, but that was his only loss. And he's really come back, had some good fights, looked good along the way. Now he's beaten Alonzo Minifield. I know it was one of his. He beat Uzdemir. He beat frickin' Jan Blachowicz, and now beat Dominick Reyes. Now he's gotten himself into the upper echelon. He is definitely deserving of that next shot. Obviously the Ankalaev versus Bahia fight is coming up October 4th. So we'll see that right away. So it matches out well because, he just had this win. He's going to be the guy that is next in line. We'll see who he faces. Either guy, it's going to be an interesting fight. It'll be fun.
Definitely. Who do you think he would match up better against, Ankalaev or Alex Pereira?
I think he'll have more problems with Ankalaev. And that's obviously, Alex has got power and he's really good with his stand-up. His ground has gotten better, but Ulberg is a good kickboxer and he fights well in the stand-up range. And the one thing, if you're going to look and say, what is it's going to cause some problems? Well, someone that can take him down and control him on the ground. I'm not saying Ankalaev is going to do it, but he definitely has the skill set to do it. Ankalaev tends to like to be in the stand-up. He fights the stand-up more than he uses his wrestling. But out of the two, you're looking at one has the ability to change the fight up midstream if it's not going well for him in the stand-up. Ankalaev can switch it off into a grappling heavy attack where Alex is definitely going to be just in the stand-up, and that's something that Ulberg is going to match up well with him. 9-1 in the UFC at this point. That's pretty impressive, because he came in off of the Dana White Contenders. So obviously the Dana White Contender Series is bringing along some quality people. They've had quite a few now that Sean O'Malley came off of that. I remember watching him the first, I think it was the first season I was reffing, and I didn't ref his fight, but I was watching this little curly-haired, skinny kid, man, and he was good. You could see it. He was like, man, that kid can fight. Didn't think he could when I looked at him, but one of those nerd assassins, man. Be careful. They're really good.
Those
Sugar go ahead.
When Snoop Dogg commentated over that and how viral
oh my God, that was when it was.
Yeah,
Snoop Dogg was smoking the place out, man.
And Uriah Faber, I believe, next to him.
Oh, Uriah Faber was next to him. they put him up in I think it was Dana's office up in the thing, and they put him up there to do it because he was going to smoke, and the smoke just started coming out of the window and started floating down over the octagon. And it was like, does everyone else smell that too? Because I mean, it was strong. And all of a sudden it was like, hey, it's getting really bad. Someone's going to have to go tell him, man, you got to stop. But it was funny. You know, Snoop was doing his thing.
Yeah, those how viral it went. That's what brought me back to UFC. When like I was a kid and I'd watch it with my older brother, but then when he passed away, I took a break on watching fights for a long time. But like how viral that went, and just like the age group of me being like almost a teenager and thinking that was the funniest stuff in the world.
That was cool.
Yeah, it just was the perfect storm to help bring me back to the sport.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because, you know, who would have thought? I wouldn't have, because they had two broadcast teams. They had, you know, your normal guy that, you know, looks like the, you know, it wasn't John. I can't remember who the real broadcast thing was, but I think Paul Felder was one of them. Michael Bisping was one, and then I can't remember who was the play-by-play at the time.
Maybe Brendan Fitzgerald.
I don't recall it being Brendan. So, but whoever it was, you know, they had the normal one there, but then they had all right. It must have been for, you know, guys like you. It must have been, hey, we're going to do this because younger kids will watch the fights listening to fucking Snoop. I guess it worked for them.
It brought the casuals back.
It might have killed a couple of Uriah Faber's brain cells with all the smoke he had to inhale. It was definitely a contact high for a lot of people that day. But
definitely.
All funny stuff.
But pulling back to the Ulberg versus Reyes, we got Roundtree versus Prohaska coming up soon. Do you think if one of them perform in like a spectacular way, is that enough to bump Carlos Ulberg out of the contention? Or
I don't think so. Yeah, I think Ulberg has. Look at when you're taking a look at, you know, that record now, and like I said, 9-1. You know, 9-1 in the UFC. That's pretty impressive. And you take a look at the list of people, like I said, from the Alonzo Minifield, because he fought. Trying to remember who he fought before. I think it was the Korean. Was it the Iron Turtle? Yeah, I might be wrong about which one, but he ended up fighting from, you know, like I said, you know, you got to figure Minifield is known for power. Ozdemir actually fought himself up into championship, you know, contention. Obviously, Jan Blachowicz was the champion. So you're looking now, you know, he's had 4 fights in a row with guys that you can look at and say, at a certain point, all were in the top 10, some were in the top 5, some were champions. So you look at that and you go, he deserves it. You know, I think it's the right call by the UFC. You know, it's one of those. It's so tough to really get, you know, by, because it's a lot of it is the fans and who the fans want to see and stuff. But Ulberg is, you know, I want to say he's 34 years of age now. You know, so this is the right time for him. You know, if he doesn't get it done in this one, does he have the ability to possibly get another one? Yeah, possibility. But it's the right timing for him, you know, and I think he has reached that level where he's at his peak in being able to fight in the cage. So he'd be the guy. He would be the one that I would think they will definitely go with based upon this performance. You can't ask much more for his performance. It was a first round knockout of a guy that actually, you know, went 5 rounds with John Jones and many people thought won. So
yeah,
you know, I know Dom, you know, had that, you know, losing streak for a little bit, but he's come back and he's fought some really good fights and he's looked good. This was just one that, you know, hey, you get hit on the button. That's what happens. It can end fast, and it did, because you could tell when, you know, and all of a sudden he's starting to come back, and you see his eyes get big, because that's, you know, he realizes, oh, it's over, and it's like, oh man, I feel bad for him, but this is what the game's about. It sometimes sucks. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
The highs and the lows.
Yep. And you got to put up with all of them.
Element, the best hydration drink in the business. I had citrus earlier today. It's actually fantastic. And now they're making the lemonade salt in the can. Cannot wait. So if you guys use that link down below in the descriptions, they'll send you a bonus package with every single purchase. That's compliments of the Wayne In podcast. So hope you guys enjoy that.